Hey everybody, welcome. Hello, how are you? Uh, this is it's a beautiful day. It's Friday. It's Friday afternoon, and it's the end of May. And I've been watching everybody do their big books of summer TBR lists, and I decided that I would do a big books of summer TBR list because I would like to tackle a couple of big books this summer, and I've got lots and lots of them. And I know that I'm a mood reader. I'm a mood reader, and my reading has been really slow and sporadic this year. I don't, I can't necessarily see that changing this summer, just because work is just always very busy, and there's lots of stuff going on this summer. And there will be some time off and things, but it'll be kind of an occupied time off, not like a sit back and relax time off. So I may, I have a nice big stack of books. I have a lot of books. These are all books that I own. They're all books that are on my shelf or on my Kindle, and I really would like to get to some of these. And I think probably realistically I'll get through maybe two. Um, because I'm also really trying to read one book at a time. It works okay. I'm getting better about it. Like I usually, like used to have a book like always on my Kindle, and then a book like a physical book going. Um, but now, I'm just taking the physical book up to bed with me, which I have not done for a very long time. I like to read on my phone in bed because I'm just I'm lazy and the phone's easier. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about that. I don't know what I'm talking about that for. Anyway, Big Book Summer is hosted by Sue Jackson and Melinda at Web of Stories. And they are, yeah, this year's hosts. And I think it's kind of like anything goes. Read big books, read as many as you want, but it's Big Book Summer. And so that's pretty straightforward. I can try to do that. I'm not going to say I can do it. I can try to do it. I put together a list. I have about a pile of possibilities. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's on my list. I'll start with the physical stacks, I guess. And so that's over here. So I'll just try to just grab books off the top. You've seen me talk about this one before. This is the biography of Larry McMurtry by Tracy Daugherty. Yeah, Daugherty. And trying to read it in the screen. Yeah, okay. I started it. You can kind of see. Does anybody else do this? Use the book flap as the bookmark sometimes when you're. So I do this especially when I start reading something and uh, I'm not really meaning to read it. I'm just kind of checking it out. I'll do that. Shh, don't tell anybody. Don't get me arrested. So biography of Larry McMurtry, and I don't know, this is big. I guess I don't have to give the page number since it's obviously large, right? But I guess I don't want to lie and pretend like it's super big if it's not. Like if it's all notes at the end. It's around 470 pages. That counts, doesn't it? I didn't I don't remember if Melinda said there was a word count. I don't think so. Is it bigger than 400? Bigger than 500? 400? 500? I think it's 400. Anyway. Okay. The next book on my list is Underworld by Don DeLillo. I have such a sob story about this book. I had a first edition hardback copy of this book. And I mean, I know that first editions are not necessarily like super valuable, or they're not all super worth things like you might think they are, but it still was that. I had bought it a long time ago when it was published, and it was one of the books that got left behind, or actually didn't get left behind. It got sent to charity by mistake. I don't know why I'm laughing. That's not funny. Anyway, uh, So I bought a new copy a couple of years ago. I bought a new copy. I bought this because Jennifer Haig said this was it's one of her favorite books, but also this was a book that she like was her Bible when she wrote her novel Heat and Light. And so I have been intending to read it. I bought it, I think, in 2020 or 2021. It was still one of those pandemic-y summers, and I was planning to read it, and then I didn't get around to it. So I this is on my list here. So I'm not gonna read off what every book is. Is that bad? Is it bad if I'm not like telling you, giving you the lowdown on all of these? Some of them I think they're just kind of obvious, like this one, The Path to Power, the first Lyndon Johnson book by Robert A. Caro. This would be a reread, actually. I read this book 35 years ago. I read this book in 1990. And it was my big book of the summer in 1990, actually. It was one of the books that I read. I read this. I remember that was like a particularly good reading summer, so like late spring and summer. I read this. I read Lonesome Dove, and I read Citizens, a book called Citizens about the French Revolution, and I can't remember the author's name. Anyway, I would really like to reread this. Obviously, that's why I bought a copy. I'd also really like to read The Power Broker by Robert A. Caro, which was his first book, but I don't own a copy. If I had that, I might choose that one over this one. If I can find a used copy. If I see a used copy, I might switch those out, but that's also assuming that I'm going to read this one. So I don't know. I've got nonfiction on this list. I've also got fiction. This one's probably the one that I'd like to say it's the one I'm most likely to get to because I'm dying to read it, and I go through periods where I'm like, I'm going to read it, and then I don't. But I feel like this summer is the summer to do this, and that is Middlemarch by George Eliot. And I've had this copy for a very long time. I brought this copy with me from Atlanta, so that's how long I've had it. So at least 7 years, and then probably longer in Atlanta, probably for another couple of years at least. I had this. I just would really like to get into this book this summer. It may be actually I may pick it up pretty soon. I may start reading this one in June. I'm trying to finish a couple of other books first. So yeah, but yeah, Middlemarch is high on the list. Let's all cross our fingers for that. I think that is going to be a really good experience. So, okay. The next one I think is also one that I am hoping that I will get to because it's a series. It's the second in a series, and I read the first one back in 2023, I think it was. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, it was. I think it was 2023. It was like March, April 2023. And that was Ship of Magic. And the second one is The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. And this is the Live Ship Traders trilogy. And I really loved Ship of Magic. It was so, so good. I'm not a fantasy reader, but I really love Robin Hobb, and I read the first, The Assassin's Apprentice, and that first, I can't remember the name of the trilogy. Why can't I think of it? The Farseer trilogy, I think it is. I've read that trilogy. This is the next series or next trilogy in the Rainwild Chronicles, her 17 book series. But I loved Ship of Magic. It's my favorite Robin Hobb that I've read so far. And so I have very high hopes and high expectations for this one. I don't think they will be dashed. And her books are so easy to read. So I think this is one that I really probably could get through and actually pretty quickly depending on what kind of time I have. So I'm looking forward to that one. I guess I would look forward to any of these books because I've got a lot of good stuff. I own a lot of good books. I don't really need to get anything new, even though I said I would buy the Power Broker. There's one other one that if I found a used copy, I would probably consider also, but I'll talk about that one in a little bit. I also have this. I read this back in the late 90s. I'm pretty sure I read it. I'm like 85% sure that I read it. I don't know if I finished it though. That's the one thing. And that is Hermione Lee's biography of Virginia Woolf. I'm like 85% sure that I read this book. Yeah. I know that I did, as a matter of fact. Yeah, no, I definitely did read this. So this was published in 96. This is not my original copy. I got this from a neighbor. But yeah, I would like to read this. I really like reading biographies. And I just haven't in such a long time. And I've been feeling the pull of nonfiction, shorter fiction and longer nonfiction. So I don't know, but I've definitely got some long novels here on this list. So the next one, I've had this book for a very long time. I read this author's book, a book by this author, Iain Pears, called Stones Fall. And I absolutely thought it was brilliant. I don't have it because I loaned it to somebody and never got it back. And so I loved it so much that I heard wonderful things about this one as well. This is an instance of the Fingerpost, and this is supposed to be very, very good. This one, it says, let's see, what does it say about it? What is it about? It's a mystery. I believe it's a mystery. It says that it is 1663 and England is racked with intrigue and civil strife. When an Oxford Don is murdered, it seems at first that the incident can have nothing to do with the great matters of church and state. Who poured the arsenic into the victim's brandy? The evidence points to Sarah Blundy, a servant girl. She confesses to the crime and is sentenced to be hanged. Yet little is as it seems in this gripping novel, which dramatizes the ways in which witnesses can see the same events yet remember them falsely. Each of four narrators, I like that. I love multiple narrators. A Venetian medical student, a young man intent on proving his late father innocent of treason, a cryptographer, and an archivist fingers a different culprit, an erudite and entertaining tour de force. So says People magazine. Well, I mean, high praise from that literary force. A review was probably like next to an article about Jennifer Aniston or something. Anyway, nothing wrong with Jennifer Aniston. I'm Team Jennifer. Yeah. So I think this one. I'm curious because Stones Fall was also a big book. It was also a big book, and I read it, like I devoured it. Like I could not put it down. And so I'm hoping that this would be similar to that, that I would be just so enthralled that I would wanting to be, reading all the time. I've got some books on my Kindle, so I have to look at my screen here that are possibilities. Sorry, you guys, I have like a hive or something. So charming, as always. Yeah, I have fleas. No, I don't actually have fleas. Let's see. Okay. So one that I really would like to get to that I've heard wonderful things about is called We the Drowned by Carsten Jensen, translated by Charlotte Barsland and Emma Ryder. And I think it's Danish. It doesn't say. Yeah, Danish. The author is Danish. So it says, let's see. We the Drowned is the story of the port town of Marstal, whose inhabitants sailed the world's oceans aboard freight ships for centuries. Wow, got sailing on the brain, I guess. Spanning over 100 years, from the mid 19th century to the end of the Second World War, from the barren rocks of Newfoundland to the lush plantations of Samoa, from the roughest bars in Tasmania to the frozen coasts of northern Russia, We the Drowned is a magnificent tale of love, war, and adventure, of the men who go to sea and the women they leave behind. Now, you don't know this about me, but I am really love a shipfaring story, a seafaring story, a shipfaring, a seafaring, not shipfaring. I love a seafaring story. I love books and movies and anything. We have a wonderful museum here called the Shipvaarts Museum, not Shipvaarts. Just that's how you say it in Dutch. It's a wonderful history museum about the Dutch East India Company and all of the trade. And there is like a ship outside the museum. There's an actual ship that you can get on and tour. And there are rooms of maps, the most glorious and amazing, beautiful maps you've ever seen. There are rooms full of exhibits, full of things that of things that were pulled off of ships, like china and bedding and all of these different things. It's a really fascinating and wonderful place. And as a matter of fact, like I use as bookmarks. I have these postcards. This is one of them. This is Ludolf Bachhausen. De terugkomst van de Hollandia in het landschap bij Huisdouwen. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It's a famous painting, I guess, but it's from the museum, the Scheepvaart Museum. See, it's not Shipvaart. Scheepvaart. Okay, enough, Priscilla. All right, the other one that I've picked from my Kindle there's lots of 1660s, and it's another 16. Is this a 1603, 1663. This one's another one in 1660s. Okay. The Weight of Ink by Rachel Kadish. And let's see, it says set in London of the 1660s and of the early 21st century, The Weight of Ink is the interwoven tale of two women of remarkable intellect. Oh, that sounds really good, doesn't it? Esther Velasquez, an immigrant from Amsterdam, who is permitted to scribe for a blind rabbi just before the plague hits the city, and Helen Watt, an ailing historian with a love of Jewish history. As the novel opens, Helen has been summoned by a former student to view a cache of 17th century Jewish documents newly discovered in his home during a renovation. Enlisting the help of Aaron Levy, an American graduate student as impatient as he is charming, and in a race with another fast-moving team of historians, Helen embarks on one last project to determine the identity of the document's scribe, the elusive Aleph. Electrifying and ambitious, sweeping in scope, and intimate in tone, The Weight of Ink is a sophisticated work of historical fiction about women separated by centuries and the choices and sacrifices they must make in order to reconcile the life of the heart and the mind. Well, that sounds really fantastic. This is why I don't make TBRs. I'm already feeling the pressure and the weight of expectations that I have of these books and of me in reading these books, because some of them I've made them sound so good, so fantastic. We just read these descriptions. They're great. I don't know. I think maybe there's too much pressure. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. But I'm going to try. I'm doing it for you. I'm going to try for you to read at least 2 of these books. At least 2. And maybe 3. Maybe I can read 3. Who knows? You don't know. I don't know. Let's be optimistic. Let's be optimistic. Let's say I can get one a month. I can get one a month. I think it's doable. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. I don't know why I'm including you in that, because you either have your own list of big books that you're going to read this summer, or you're not and you don't care. So, okay, well, I will put the list of books in the description box, and why don't you tell me if there's anything that sounds extremely intriguing that you think I should read? Oh, there was another book. There was another book. Wait, 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 wait. There was another book. I said if I could get my hands on it, that I would consider it. But I don't know. Now I've got so many great ones here. So I'm not like going to be super tempted but if I find it, maybe I'll pick it up anyway. And that is Purity by Jonathan Franzen. And hang on, and I'll look it up really quick. I think that was published back in, yeah, okay, Goodreads. Just, oh my God, it's so slow. Okay. Yeah, this is a young Pip Tyler doesn't know who she is. She knows that her real name is Purity, that she's saddled with $130,000 in student debt, that she's squatting with anarchists in, I almost said antichrists. Squatting with antichrists. That's the name of the name of the album by your band. I don't know. Anyway, she's squatting with anarchists in Oakland, and that her relationship with her mother, her only family, is hazardous. But she doesn't have a clue who her father is, why her mother chose to live as a recluse with an invented name, or how she'll ever have a normal life. Enter the Germans. Just in general. Okay. A glancing encounter with a German peace activist leads Pip to an internship in South America with the Sunlight Project, an organization that traffics in all the secrets of the world, including, Pip hopes, the secret of her origins. TSP is the brainchild of Andreas Woolf, a charismatic provocateur who rose to fame in the chaos following the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now on the lam in Bolivia, Andreas is drawn to Pip for reasons she doesn't understand, and the intensity of her response to him upends her conventional ideas of right and wrong. And this was published in 2015. So I wanted to read this because, yeah, I had an idea for a novel earlier this spring, and I was sort of poking around to see what other kind of novels were similar to that novel that I was thinking about and outlining, and this was one of those books that I felt would be kind of not a model, but just a something to look at that could be a possibility for influence in a way. So yeah, I'm still interested in reading it. I've kind of abandoned that idea for the novel, but I'm still interested in reading this because it does sound pretty good. Okay, so as I was saying, I'll put the list in the description box. And if you've read any of these, or if there are any of these you think I should read, if there are any that you're like really feeling like, yeah, come on, read that one, I really want to hear about it, you could tell me. You can tell me in the comments. I would love it. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear if you've read any of these, or if these are also on your list, or if you're doing Big Book Summer and what your big books are, or just say hi. Or just leave an emoji. I guess that's a thing now. We're leaving emojis, which is all cool. It's great. I love it because it's just cool to see people there. It's just good to see you. All right, that's it for me. I'm out. Priscilla out. What is that? It's a sign of someone who does not belong on social media. Okay, but it's fine. It's all fine. All right, so that's it for me for now, and I will be back at some point and let you know about what's going on, and am I reading one of these giant books? Okay, take care. Have a good weekend. Bye.